Hi Blend fans, welcome to this tutorial, and what we're going to do is we're going to actually make ourselves a daffodil in this tutorial. That's going to learn us how to actually apply a texture, and hopefully by the end of this you should be quite good at adding a simple image texture to a flower. Let's just start. So first of all, what we're going to do is add a couple of image textures. So I'm pressing the 1 key to actually look from the front like that, and I'm just going to add in an image texture. So mesh. No, in fact, image reference, and this is going to be a reference image that I took on my walk. Here's the original image. As you can see, I've took it well on a walk. Here's the one I cut out and changed it into a pink so it gives it some transparencies, but also it makes it a lot clearer to see the actual shape of the flower. So let's just G and Y just to move this into the background like that. So looking from the front, what I'm going to do is add in a simple mesh, and the mesh is going to be a circle. And I'm going to rotate this along the X, which is the red line, by 90 degrees, pressing 90. And what we're going to do is actually look from the front like that. As you can see, the image is not lined up, so I'm just going to line that up with the center, like so. And next, what we're going to do is actually just rename that image. I just call it front image. Also, we've got in here, we've got a filter. This enables us to actually do this, which is selectable. I want to do that because I want this not to be selectable. If we hit the arrow, as you can see, now I can no longer select this no matter how hard I try, so it shouldn't get in the way. Press the 1 key, and what we'll do is actually select the circle, which is going to be the trumpet of a daffodil, like that. So I just renamed it trumpet, and press the tab key. If we actually look at this, as you can see, we haven't got a lot of geometry to play with there, so I'm just going to A to select all and right click to subdivide. Entirely up to you how much detail you add into this, but as you can see, all these points now are there, and if we go on points, I can really see them. So I subdivided that twice. This gives me more geometry, but of course it means that your model is more complex, and if you're just doing a low poly scene, you might not want this complexity, especially if the flowers in the background. So what I'm going to do, if you do a point select, you can see that it just selects one point and moves it. I don't want to do that. What I want to do is actually go into a thing called proportional editing, because I want to select multiple points, and I'm just going to select that, and we're just going to roughly shape this. As you can see, we've got an influence ring there, and by moving your mouse up and down, you can actually change where how it affects things. What I tend to do is rough and dirty, just actually do this quick, and then with a smaller influence ring, we can actually move smaller points like this and just get the general shape you want of your flower. And that's what I'm doing, quickly and easily, just following the actual shape of the flower. This is going to make it quite a bit more interesting, and it makes it, all the distortions and things that's what makes life look real. Just generally shaping these out, making our general shape like this. Just making our general shape. So I think that's about it really. So we've got our general shape, and now what we can do is all these points, we can move them forwards or backwards depending on what you want to do, just to actually give it a bit more shape. As you can see, the influence ring is a bit too small, so G, increase my influence ring, and I'm just generally changing the shape of my, all I'm doing is actually rotating around by holding the mouse button down, changing the shape of my flower, or changing its profile at least. Anyway, there you go. I think that'll do me for now. So we've got that kind of shape, and that's going to be the front of our trumpet. Now, looking from the side by pressing the 3 key, what I want to do is add the actual image that we're going to actually copy to actually finish our flower. So I'm just going to add in the image, another reference, and this time I'm going to add this one, the daffodil side. Same with this one, we're going to move it this time along the X, just to move it out the back, and deselect it, call this side, and just deselect it so it can't be actually selected by accident. So we've got this, and we'll just move it, pressing the 3 key, we'll look from the side, And I think I'll just move my image so it actually lines up with the front of this. So go back into the side, make it selectable, and then you can actually select it and just move it to about where it is. I'm just going to scale it up slightly so it's about the same size. Select the trumpet and press the tab key. This will take us into edit mode and A to select all. And then what we're going to do is extrude along the Y just to actually make our general shape and just scale this down. See, we've got our influence still enabled, so deselect that. Just going to select this back ring again by pressing the Alt key down and just scale this down. Just trying to actually follow the more or less the shape of this, so E, scale it down. I'm just going to rotate that a little bit. Right, I'm just going to scale this on the Y but to 0 just to flatten that ring off again. So we've got our ring, it's flattened. It's still got these veins in it, but we can actually get rid of them if you wish. But I think they might make it look that little bit more interesting as a daffodil. So let's just carry on shaping this. And we're just following this. Just scale. What I did there is just rotate a little bit. And you just follow it down. It's up to you how many divisions you put in things. You put as many as you think it needs. And rotate. So quickly and easily, we're making the shape of our stem now. And just extrude. Gain the general shape. As to scale it slightly. It's entirely up to you, like I said, how much detail you put into this. And take this off the bottom there. So we've got our basic shape of our daffodil. So let's just do the petals now. So same again, what we're going to do is I'm just going to hide this. So we've got a little trumpet there and we're just going to hide it. Looking from the front again by pressing the 1 key, we're now going to actually make the petals. So add in a petal, and the mesh we're going to add it in is a circle again. Rotate on the X by 90. So we're just going to move this into place more or less. And same again, we'll just actually add a bit more detail into it. A to select all, subdivide surface. Like I say, it's entirely up to you how much or how little detail you put into things, but I'm just going to move this down. So hit the influence, or proportional editing they call it, but it's like an influence ring, it does. And let's just make it back to this shape of this petal. The mess of this one. Because petals are organic, it's surprising how much muck this up completely. I'm just going to start again by pressing Ctrl Z right until I get to the front. Right, so A to select all. I'm just going to scale this down and work the other way this time. Just to move it to the center, and I'm going to move it out this time. So same kind of thing, but just sometimes get a bit in front of yourself and change the influence by rolling that mouse key. That works a lot better doing it that way. As I say, you live and you learn. So I've done that, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press the A key to select all and press F3, and what I'm going to do is grid fill this. As you can see, the grid fill influence there, I don't quite like that, so I'm just going to take this down to 0, then increase it by 1 until it's in a place where I like it. So that's more or less a petal. And I'm just going to rotate it around until it's got the orientation that I want, or the offset. Take it back to 0. Don't know if I want to go in the positive or the negative. I'll just take it up to 6, maybe. Right then, so what I'm going to do is actually select this center line by pressing the Alt key down. And I'm just going to move it backwards just to make my first petal. G and Y, just to make that first shape of my very first petal. And an easy way to actually do this now is to actually just duplicate this petal, shade smooth, just see what it looks like, and just roughly align it, and then we can actually alter it. Or you can make all petals individually, it's entirely up to you. In this tutorial, I'm just going to object, set origin to 3D cursor, which of course is this point in the middle, which will now allow me to actually rotate this along the Y, so I can actually move it all the way around. So Shift and D will duplicate this and rotate like that to get that shape. Right, just on a time lapse, I'm just going to actually make these individually because I just think it looks a lot better. So I'm just going to quickly make these. So let's just add in another mesh, add the circle, rotate, Take the influence off. Rotate along the X back 90. Sometimes I think they look a bit better when you actually start them from scratch. Yeah, quickly done. So what I'm doing there is just actually moving it back. Just actually make that rough shape of the metal. Alt H actually makes everything reappear. So I'm just going to actually move these into place. And we're going to actually hide the trumpet again. And what we'll do is move these petals all back. As you can see, our petals are a bit linear. So what we can do is actually distort these slightly by using the influence ring to actually change the shape of our petals. So you actually go on the edges because it seems to work better. And G and Y, just actually move them around, and we're just actually distorting things. Just shape it more or less into whatever shape you want to. Like that. Up to go into edit mode, I'm just going to move these in place where I think would look quite good. Select each one individually, just move it. As you can see, we're actually changing the shape of the petal. What that does is adds that bit more realism into things like this. And as you can see, you just get a general petal shape. And what we're going to do is actually use these lines on these petals on one image to actually do the flower petals, and on the other image we're going to actually use the trumpet and these bits to actually be used on the other part of it. So let's just fasten this all together. The only thing we haven't done is the actual detailed stamen in the middle. So I'm just going to add in a sphere into the center just to actually, because G and Y depends how much detail you want to actually put in onto a thing. But I to deselect all. I'm just going to select this center point there, and I'm just going to grow my selection by pressing the Ctrl and plus, and extrude this. Extrude and Y, just to actually make that kind of shape. As you can see, that ball is still less than the circumference of the flower, so we've added some detail, but not a lot. Into edit mode, Alt H to actually unhide everything. So let's start attaching our texture to this. Attaching the texture to this, and we're just going to add our new textures into a material. So new, base color, image texture, and we're going to add the two textures that we did. Ping image, like that. And we'll add in the other image, and these images are going to be used separately. But what we can actually do is select different points on this. In fact, let's just join all these together because we might as well. So select everything that you've got, apart from your images obviously. Alt H, and I'm just going to join these together. Join. As you can see, the image has now gone black and everything. And the reason it's gone black is because the image texture that we actually attached earlier is not working as it should yet. So we've added this texture already, and all we need to do now is add the other texture, which of course is going to be the side image. So let's just add that one as well. So plus to add a new, yep, image texture, and let's have a look from the side one. Let's just find it again. There we go, our side image. So we've got the two images, and what we can do is now assign these to our images. Assign these to the daffodil. So we can attach these to our daffodil. Shade smoothing just to actually keep our textures. If we get some texture bleeding, we can actually add some more loop cuts into things to make it better, but this will do for now. So first of all, let's just actually start with our trumpet. So I'm just going to press the L key to select our trumpet and press the 3 key to look from the side, and then what we'll do is actually go into a thing called UV editing, like this. Select this and press from the 3 again. So we'll just select our trumpet, press the L key just to select it all, and we don't want our front image, we want our side image. We're looking from our side image like this. What we're going to do is we're going to actually assign the side image to this. So we've got that one which is the front, this one that's the side. So what I'm going to do is actually now attach this to our side image. So we've selected everything on our side image by pressing the L key to select all. I'll do that again just to show you. L. So if you look, it's only actually selected our trumpet because these are still separate objects even though they're all stuck together. So we've got our side image, press the 3 key, and what we're going to do is press a U key. Now this is an unwrap key, and what we're going to do is actually project this from view like this. As you can see, this has now appeared on the left hand side. So we can now L to select all, and we can scale this up so it matches our image. Now it's not going to actually match exactly. As you can see, it's quite distorted there, and what we can do is actually readjust things. So scale on the X, actually do that, and we can just move it more or less into place. And then with the actual proportional editing actually enabled, what we can actually do now is actually move things into place. So I'm just going to move these into place, and all I'm doing there is holding my left mouse button down and just going around things and just matching it up roughly. And of course the influence ring works just the same again. You can move things, scale things. It's the S key to scale things if you think they're not big enough, which of course will add more detail to your image. Now what you can't see on here is that let's press the tab key to go out into edit mode, and we'll go into render mode so you can actually see what this is actually doing to our image. As you can see, we've got this, that's our trumpet, and it's adding it real time into our scene. But of course that's not seeming to assign our side image, so we must have our wrong image assigned to this point. So let's just make sure we've actually assigned the actual side image and not done it the wrong way around. Assign. There we go, that's better. So I'm just going to actually move this. You can see there's a little bleeding down there, so just move that up so it's on the yellow, and there's a bit of green there, so I'm going to move that back down there. Move this over here, and as you can see, I'm just slowly just lining it up with the actual yellow. If it goes onto the green, obviously that will be green. And I'm just going to move this up there just to actually get that kind of shape. Same with the stem. If you find out that it's bleeding too much, what we can do is actually just select that. Just look at that. There we go. And what we can do now is actually keep lining this up. Right. So as you can see, what it's doing real time is that it's actually attaching this texture to this. Looks like we've got a bit of bleeding there, but it won't matter too much once we actually attach the other textures. Right, so we've done that for that texture, so let's now select a petal. So L, let's just select all the petals around the edges, and we look from the front by pressing the 1 key, and then we're going to U, project from view. As you can see, our petals are on that image, but these petals, we want to actually assign these the front image, so we go into the front image and we put assign. If this doesn't change, we can actually select the front image from up here, and this will in turn allow us to actually move our petals. So what we're going to do is actually select each petal, press the L key, and just move them. Whoops, Control Z, take proportional editing off, G, and just move them into their relevant petals. And scale it just however you want to do it. Scale on the X, scale on the Y, to actually just select them. L, select that one. I'm just going to move that one to this petal, scale this up. G, I don't want it to actually go onto the orange because I want this to be the sort of yellow, just a yellow coral garden daffodil, not like the one that I actually did on my walk. So it's entirely up to you. Select that one, press the L key to select it up, select this one, press the L key, and just move that one into this area. Just going to rotate this slightly because I think it'll benefit from it. L, G, just moving that into place. I think this is a very useful technique model, as you can see, but it's quite detailed. Like, we've got a little bit of bleeding up there on our stem, so that means that part of that texture is going in the wrong place. So let's just actually look at that again, into edit mode, press the L key, switch back over to the other image because that's the one that's been assigned, and we'll try and find out where the actual little green bit. As you can see, there it is, the little green bit is actually going onto there, so we can actually just move that by going on proportional editing, selecting that line, and just move it until it's back on the yellow. And as you can see, that's now fixed that. And lastly, we just got the center of our model to do, so press the L. As you can see, this is not unwrapped and it still thinks it's a sphere. So what we can do is now go from the side, press the 3 key, project from view. So we've got the actual set shape of our stamen one. And I'm just going to press the L key to select all and just move it. Right, select it again, press the L key to select it and just move the actual into our image. So as you can see, without a lot of work, we've actually made a, oopsie daisy, what we got here? What we do is the wrong one. We want the actual side image attached to that, the sphere in the middle. So just actually select the side image and we'll assign that again. And as you can see, we've quickly and easily made ourselves something that looks quite real, and all we've got to do now is just hide our images, and we've made ourselves quite a good flower. And as you can see, we've made ourselves quite a good daffodil, quite a lot of detail on there, as you can see. Still not quite happy with the shape, but a little bit of tweaking, and from a distance, you never know the difference. And then of course, lastly, what you can do is you could actually add some leaves to this. I think I'll do that in another tutorial of a similar nature. I'm just going to actually change this, move that a bit closer. There's a little bit more work needs to be done on the statement, but you get the idea. And from a distance, I was going to actually see it anyway. That's it. Like I said, from a distance, I was going to see it. And of course, it's quite easy to actually make your petals bigger by just scaling these up like that. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Well, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate your comments. If you would like to leave a comment, and also leave a comment if you want to see something new on my channel. I'm always looking for ideas, and sometimes it's hard to pick your own brain because you're in it.